second part of mastering our emotions. So I started off with 3 ways you can master your emotions. So you can go back to the first part of this if you're listening in on Apple or Spotify. You can check those out. If you're in on the radio station, just know that there is going to be a replay, so you don't have to worry about that. So now let's dig into our next couple of components for mastering our emotions. Remember, there are actually 10 parts of this. So we want to make sure that you are getting the best results in mastering your emotions, because your success really depends on your emotions. And a lot of people think that success is all about logic and just this dominant masculine energy. But if you are not putting yourself emotionally in check and healing any wounds, any anger, childhood trauma, all of that, it is not going to allow you to prosper the way that you want. So make sure that you are doing the work. This is not an episode where I'm just telling you a bunch of things just because. These are things that have really worked for me. And as I shared, this was a part of my postpartum recovery journey and mastering my emotions and just being completely unbothered. And it has really taken off in my life where I'm so unbothered, I can go through what might be some of the craziest things to other people, and they're always asking, how do you handle that? How do you deal with that, And it doesn't even bother me, which shows how much growth that I have had and a level of maturity in my emotions and being able to handle situations. So I want to dig into our next piece, which is breath work. Now, breath work, I think, is very underrated because people just think you're just inhaling and exhaling. But I need you to know there are so many different breath work techniques. So, as I've shared, my Money Honey course, if you go to shesworthy.org, has tons of resources where I talk about breath work, somatic shaking, EFT tapping. I go deep. So you can check that out there. But I'm going to be sharing with you some breath work techniques that you can use. Hello, everyone who has just joined in. Welcome, welcome. I'm very excited to have you today. So let's go ahead and talk about with your breath work. So I want to share that using essential oils during your breath work is absolutely divine. I love doing this with the breath work. Hello, welcome everyone. With your breath work, you will want to use those essential oils based on what you are looking to achieve. So for me, relaxation is huge. And so lavender is going to help with that relaxation. I also found one called Chill Peel. I should have brought all of mine in here, but essential oils can help with your breath work because you're going to be making like an aromatherapy type session for yourself. Now, we can do some breath work together right now. A good opportunity for you is to focus on those big, deep belly breaths. So you are literally breathing through your nose and breathing out of your mouth. When you breathe in, you're filling up your lungs and your belly should be out. Okay, big, deep. Let's try one together, everyone. And just repeating that over and over and over, closing your eyes, that can help you relax a bit more. Now, there are some nose only breathing techniques where you can simply just breathe in and breathe out of your nose only. I've also, especially during yoga, have done some opportunities where you breathe out of one nostril, close the other, and do the same on the other side. That is another way to help with your breath techniques. Now, one more I'm going to share with you, and then I have like a slew of others. fire breath. So if you are wanting to boost your energy, let's say you have been emotionally depleted, but you just want to get your energy up and your vibration up, you guys, fire breath helps so much. Fire breath is just like you're pulsing your breathing, like super, super hard for maybe almost like a minute. And then it just rises everything up. I highly recommend that. There's also a breath work that you do when you breathe in twice through your nose, twice out your mouth. And you move your belly really fast, and you just do it for maybe a minute. And it's almost like a high. And that's what people don't understand. The reason why people typically smoke is because they are trying to reach relaxation of a high, okay? That's the typical reasons. But notice when people do that, they're actually just breathing. And they don't realize that's what they're missing, is that breath. So I would highly recommend considering looking into breath techniques, figuring out how you can breathe better. So that way you are flowing oxygen throughout your body. You're also taking your blood and circulating it as well. This really, really helps you to relax, and it brings mental clarity. We have no idea. Sometimes we don't even breathe enough, and we're like always on edge and nervous. Get your breaths in, even if you do it in the morning and at night. That is an opportunity that can change your life, how you deal with people, how you make decisions, and just your overall well-being. Now, another thing that's going to help you with mastering your emotions, and this is something I love. Now, I have shared with you guys a little bit about me, but astrologically, I am a Gemini, and my birthday is May 27th, so it's coming up. And I literally, oh my gosh, I love to talk, obviously. I enjoy talking and sharing, but one thing that I have learned in order to master my emotions is to speak less. Let me tell you why I've learned to speak less. Number one, everyone does not need to know your business. Even if you think it's something really small, or even if it's something big, everyone doesn't need to know. There are some things that you deserve to keep to yourself. As I have shared on this platform, I tell you guys stories, my experiences, but you really don't know me on a personal level. And I like that because it allows me to have some mystery. If I told you every single thing about myself, that when you do that, that shows that that person may not be emotionally where they need to be. If they're just an open book and share everything, their emotions might be out of whack. Their throat chakra could be imbalanced, okay? If they're always telling everything. So you want to consider not really sharing as much. Share just enough, or what you want people to know. You don't have to share everything. That's not required. That doesn't mean you're not being honest or you're being, facetious, but you want to share what you feel comfortable with. And if it's nothing, that's fine too. Now, when you do that, people are going to want to know more about you. It is better for you to be this mysterious person that people are trying to learn and they're intrigued and interested in than be someone who shares everything. And guess what also happens? When you overshare or you give unsolicited advice, because typically people who are talkers are always going to have like some type of opinion or thought process, and they're just going to go on and on. People don't value you as much because they're so used to you always giving, 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 and you are literally just almost devaluing yourself when you keep going and going. Sometimes speaking less is the best. Okay, so our next emotionally charged strategy that's going to help us master those emotions, I want you to develop empathy. I know if you are a woman watching this, empathy might be a lot easier for you than men. So I also have men on my platform. I want you guys to hear this too. Developing empathy is everything. It shows that you are a human. Give that genuine concern and compassion to others. What I have found is that, especially in today's world, we don't really give as much empathy or care for people that I think that we should. It's always like we're moving on to the next, or, oh, well, that was your fault. You know, you're the only one that can change it, which is could be true, right? But just having a level of empathy where we care for others and we allow them to be human and know that we all make mistakes, we all go through things, and empathy doesn't mean that you have experienced that, right? Empathy means that you may not know what that feels like, but you care enough about a person that you're willing to share a piece of your heart. That is going to take you to the next level in your emotions. And that's going to create a connectivity again to God. I shared this earlier in the podcast episode. When you extend that love, you are more and more being God on earth. So you want to be able to do that to activate your heart chakra. I cannot express to you enough. Your emotions are going to skyrocket when you get your heart chakra in alignment. And when I say skyrocket, I mean your emotions are going to be in check in such a way that you are going to be attractive. You're going to be healthier. You are going to bring opportunities into you more easily. When your emotions are not intact, you are usually not the most successful. And I also want to say success is not just money. It's not just a career. It's not just, oh, I'm fit. It's not, no. Success is being well-rounded. All the people that we look up to today, we think they're successful because they have this image or this amount of money they make, right? That to me is not success. I consider my success to be because I am well rounded. That's why I'm talking to you about emotions. Yes, I'm the money goddess. I can talk to you all day about manifesting money. But if I left out the fact that your emotions are the biggest reason why you can't manifest money, whether consistently at all, or maybe you get it and you lose it, it's because of your emotions. Your energy in motion. That's emotions, okay? And I also want to share too, as we're developing that empathy, I've learned that there are superiority versus inferiority complexes as to why we don't have a level of empathy for others. I want to share, men typically think they are superior. Women typically think they are inferior. Okay? And that leads to a competition of a woman trying to prove herself and a man saying, I'm not proving anything because I'm already that, right? What we want to do is know that we all are deserving of love, of empathy, of concern. That's just a standard for a human. And that we shouldn't look down on someone or think we're better or even think lowly of ourselves, right? We want to make sure we don't have any of those complexes because they play out in the dynamics of relationships. It plays out in the workplace, right? I'm talking about a lot of deep things that don't get discussed when it comes to manifestation, and your emotions are a huge part of that. So you guys, I'm going to go to the next tip. So far in this segment, I've talked about breath work, speaking less, developing empathy, and guys, we have 4 more, okay? So if you've been taking notes, you have your journal out, this is amazing. Get all of this done. Come back to this, all right? I would also love for you guys to find me on TikTok or Instagram at I am JL Thomas. Tell me what you think about this episode. How has it helped you, especially if you're going to implement those techniques? That is going to do wonders for you. I want to know your results. So let's talk about our next topic with mastering our emotions. Set energetic boundaries. When I talk about boundaries, my whole aura changes because my boundaries says, don't mess with me. And I don't even have to say, don't mess with me. I am energetically in a place in my life where I'm not playing with people's BS. I'm not doing any games. I'm not tap dancing. I'm not doing any of that. I mean what I mean and I say what I mean. And sometimes, yes, you may have to tell people because that's just a courteous thing. Like, hey, when you did XYZ, this made me feel this way. I would appreciate if you wouldn't do that so we can move forward together, right? Sometimes you might have to say that. But I will share this with you. If you are dealing with people who have masculine energy, whether male or female, sometimes they're not listening to what you say. They are only looking at your actions. So that's why I was saying you have to set that energy of do not play with me. And you do that by who you choose to be on a daily basis. If you want somebody to treat you like the Queen of England, then you need to treat yourself like the Queen of England. But if you don't, then why would anybody else want to, right? Not saying that it's right or anything like that, but you have to set the standard for yourself in order for people to reciprocate that. Okay, so keep that in mind with your energetic boundaries. Now, as you set those energetic boundaries, block the energy from entering. And how you can block that energy from people coming, like if they're trying to mess you up. And when I say mess you up, I mean maybe they're saying shady comments, and I'm going to get to that in just a moment. Or maybe they give you little jokes or try to say little things or whatever. You can ghost people. You can ghost people. It's okay to do that. I actually recommend it, especially if you aren't being treated the way that you should be treated. You are not required to talk to people at all. And I know it's very hard because socially we've been taught, and if you go back to the beginning of time, like we have this very tribal mindset that we have to do things to make sure the tribe survives. Well, we don't live in tribes. That doesn't mean that we shouldn't respect our communities, right? But respect is removing yourself when you are not being respected. That's respecting yourself, and it allows you to stay in charge of your emotions where you're not mouthing off at someone and regretting what you say and escalating a situation, right? So that can help you too. I pull back on, especially if I'm in a situation where I feel as though I want to be treated differently. I just pull back, and that's a natural response. It's not like you're trying to hurt someone or do any of those things. No, you're just coming back, recalibrating yourself, and pulling your energy in. A lot of people have all of their energy outside of them because they're trying to please all these people, and they're not realizing that they are the reason why they're not getting the results that they want because they're too busy concerned about others. When you set energetic boundaries, you are able to pull and pour into yourself, and that is going to make people treat you the way that you want to be treated. And if they don't, ghost them. You're done. And that is okay until maybe they come back around. And if they don't, oh well, move on. Okay, so the next thing I want you all to note is I would like for you to be aware of energy vampires and jealous vampires. Listen, it could be your family, it could be friends, it could be co-workers, associates, anybody. People can be shady with their comments. They can think Especially I've dealt with this with in-laws. I mean, people will say all kinds of nasty things to you and think that it's okay. And it's not. They'll give you some jokes like, ha ha ha, I'm just kidding. No, it wasn't funny. If I'm not laughing, it wasn't funny. You know what you said. You know what you did, right? So guess what? You limit your time around them. Do you guys know? I'm going to be honest. I have my phone on Do Not Disturb 24/7. And it's for that reason. First of all, everyone does not deserve access to me except the people that need to, which is my son, my spouse, and my mom. That's it, right? And even with them, I limit my time. Well, the adults, not my child. I limit my time if I feel like, listen, you got some stuff going on with you and I don't want nothing to do with it. Limit my time. I don't have to be around these people. I feel like we are made to feel bad. And I know some people, you grew up, like my mom and dad are much older. And so, you know, I have more of an old school upbringing, while some people may have parents who may have an even older upbringing, or maybe you have like that millennial upbringing. I don't know. But what I do know is sometimes we can almost feel bad that we aren't in communication with our families or certain friends we've always known since high school, and we can't leave them behind. We got to go back and help everybody. We got to. No, why are you putting those burdens on yourself? Why? Doesn't mean we can't be a community. Doesn't mean we can't help each other out. But why do we put those, when we know people don't like us and we're still forcing ourselves to be around these people? That is insane. We should not do that to ourselves. That is asking or saying to the universe, I don't mind being messed over. And that's not cool. And unfortunately, the universe just mirrors back what we give to ourselves. And if I get something back, I want to get the best, not that mess. Okay, so I have 2 more things that I would recommend to help you regulate those emotions. And it's one of them are almost like common sense, but it's not so common these days. And that is beefing up your nutrition and your diet. What I have found is that a lot of people don't even take multivitamins, and that's like basic. Multivitamins is a basic thing we should all take, just because our nutrition nowadays does not meet our needs as much as they maybe once did, because there are pesticides, hormones, all of those different things that are injected. So make sure you get your multivitamins in, okay? Listen, guys, something as small as get your veggies in, get your protein in, all of those things that this seems so basic, but listen, your diets are messed up. And it's dysregulating your nervous system when you don't have an adequate diet. Make sure you are drinking plenty of water. Okay? Get everything in that you need to get in. I know so many people that literally go without drinking water. They're like, oh, I hate the taste of water. What? Your body is made up of 75% of water. I don't care if you don't like the taste. Throw something in it and make it work, because you need water to survive, okay? Think about your meals. Are you making your portion sizes adequate? Are you having too many processed foods? Think about all of those things and how it triggers your body, right? You might have inflammation that's happening. When your body is inflamed, your emotions are not going to be on the best of their behavior, because your body is trying to fight this stuff off. All right. And lastly, for any of my women listening out there, listen, cycle syncing can really help with a lot of your emotions and things that you're dealing with. When you know what cycle in your menstrual cycle you're on, it will make a difference. Like right now, I'm in my luteal. Now, typically during my luteal phase, I don't want to do any recordings or anything like that, because I want to be resting. But this particular cycle, and I think it has to do with the springtime, the sun is out, I have energy for days, okay? So I can get up and I can do all of these things, but when it's more so winter time, I don't have it like that. So focus on your seasons, but also which time of the month is it for you. You're typically going to have the most energy right after your cycle up to your luteal phase, and use that to your advantage, right? And when you don't have the most energy and your emotions are not at your best, that's when you need to rest. That's when you need to slow down. Maybe you need to try some different supplements. I take herbal pills like chasteberry. I also use ashwagandha. You know, those things actually help me to be able to process what's going on in my life, and I'm able to really thrive even in times when my hormones are all over the place. Okay? We all go through things. Like, I don't want anyone to think that your emotions are a bad thing and that you shouldn't have any. You should just be, perfect all the time. No, that's not how life goes. We all deal with different things. And so, what I recommend is just try to apply one or two of these strategies that I have shared and see what your results are. See how your relationships are impacted. Look at your finances. Start to look at your work. Start to look at yourself. See what changes. You are going to be able to look at yourself and be like, whoa, I have had a huge transformation, and I'm no longer looking at my emotions as something negative. I'm not blowing up. I actually know how to be calm and collected. So if this podcast episode was helpful for you, make sure you leave a review on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. I am so happy that you guys stayed with me through this entire episode, because I think it's necessary for you to up level and be able to attract the life that you really desire to have. And you guys, it's the end.